Today we've got a great revenge story against an ex who refused to repay some money they owed. We'll get into that in a bit, but first, how I got a terrible manager so embarrassed and stressed she quit. I worked under a manager a few years ago who was awful in every sense of the word. She would throw personal belongings into the garbage, things like designer purses, coffee mugs, etc. Her excuse was that they shouldn't be laying around in the open. I understand that, but you don't throw people's personal belongings away. This manager also enjoyed making our lives heck. She would add extra work on us from previous shifts that were short-staffed, as well as add work when governing bodies would be coming in to clean up the area. We would tell her we didn't have the already hilariously ridiculous time to get the impossible work done. She started suggesting we skip our breaks. Whenever we complained that we didn't have enough time to complete work, she would say, "Oh, I never got breaks when I worked for 40 years before getting this position." She'd even say things like, "Oh, your breaks aren't that important." Me, being nice to people's face to a point, shouldn't have been messed with. I emailed the general manager of the building, as well as his assistant, a union representative, and our union president. I explained how our manager was treating the staff regarding our breaks, and how our belongings were literally being thrown in the garbage. Nobody responded to my email, but with the system we used, you could see everyone who saw it. So when everyone saw it and I received no reply, I replied to the email, "Failure to respond appropriately within a week will result in this email being forwarded to the Ministry of Labor and Human Rights Board." I received 2 emails from the union. One was the representative saying he did not agree with the manager's comments. The other from the general manager saying he would deal with the issue. The next day I came in for my evening shift. The manager was standing next to our reporting area, looking very upset. She pointed at a paper on the wall and explained that the general manager gave her that and that we were to sign off when we took our breaks, and if for whatever reason we missed it, she was to pay us overtime for it. She then took me aside and told me she didn't understand why someone would report her for cracking jokes. I responded with, "Jokes are made when everyone laughs. When you made your jokes about our breaks and throwing our belongings out, not even you were laughing." She quit 3 days later, stating, "Too much stress." Too much stress. Now that's a good joke right there. You gotta love when somebody causes all these problems for themselves and then throws their hands up and says, "I quit, this is too much stress." They literally can't realize how they're causing all of this and destroying things themselves. Also, hi, I'm Steven, and if you guys enjoy awesome stories of revenge, why not hit those like and subscribe buttons down below? That said, our next story is, CEO got to drink disgusting coffee because of stealing mine. During COVID, I was an intern in a smaller company. Because of the restrictions, we weren't allowed to gather around the coffee machine, so I was making Turkish coffee for my department. I had a separate bag of coffee next to the container of coffee for the CEO in the kitchen. At some point, I got a bag of really smelly and bad tasting coffee for free, and I mixed it with the good coffee. However, the smell and taste were too overpowering, so each time I added just a small spoon of it to the pot. So I had 2 bags opened. I noticed that the bags were closed differently than I'd closed them, and suspected that the CEO's secretary decided to steal some of my coffee. So I put the smelly coffee in front and hid the good one. I again see that the bag was closed differently, and I go and open the CEO's pot, and lo and behold, the container smells of the bad coffee. The CEO got to drink the disgusting coffee because his secretary was too lazy and cheap to go to the store when she ran out of it. If you're working as a secretary for one person, I feel like the one person you would make sure to go and get a bag of coffee for would be the CEO of the company. She made a grave mistake. I just want to know what the CEO thought when they got whatever that coffee tasted like. Our next story is, ordered random parts from junkyard after they scammed me. Long story short, bought a steering wheel for my car since mine was in a pretty bad shape. Got one for $300 from a junkyard. The said junkyard promotes a 30 days guarantee, and they allow returns 14 days after receiving the package. After installing it, it didn't appear to be working. Paddles, buttons, horn not working, lane assist error on the dash, etc. The wheels are visually the same and allegedly come from the same car model. Contacted them. They told me to give them a photo of the diagnosis tool. I told them I'm not going back to my mechanic to pay him to install a part I know it's not working. They said the steering column probably needs to be replaced to pair with the new wheel, and if I provide them the screenshots, they'll send me the correct one, not free of course. No, I just want to send it back, thank you. They told me no, and they accused me of potentially stealing modules from the steering wheel and whatnot, so they won't take it back, and they hung up. In my country, you can get SIM cards with a new number without any ID. Got some of those, contacted the said junkyard every 3 to 4 weeks, and asked for something heavy, gearbox, engine, etc. I specifically looked for a location as far away as possible from the main cities, so the shipping gets to $50-ish easily, one way. Wait to be contacted by the delivery guy, tell him I'm not picking it up, sorry, and then toss the SIM card. Did this 4 times to ensure they lost just as much money as I have. Screw you. Sadly, it doesn't even surprise me that they would go to these lengths. Insurance and car repair seem like 2 things that are really very common that you get totally screwed over in cost for. Denied coverage, or some people say things are technically not right. I mean, there's a whole lawsuit going on with an insurance company that denied a whole bunch of people because technically the procedures the doctors inputted were wrong in some way or the other, so therefore all coverage denied. Our next story is peeing off my colorist dad and sister. For a bit of context, I'm fully Mexican / Zapotec, dad side, / Yucatec, mom side. My dad's from a state in Mexico called Oaxaca, which is very well known for its high population of indigenous groups. So me and all my siblings have pretty stereotypical features, the same as my father's. Recently, as the summers come, I've been spending a lot more time outside, so I've gotten my tan back. Ever since COVID, I didn't do many outdoor activities, so I was in my winter shade for a few years. I love when my skin has its tan. I think it's beautiful, and I have a lot of scars from when I had extremely severe eczema as a kid, so it makes me more confident. I'm always wearing sunscreen and being extra careful due to my skin. I went to the beach last week with my friends, and when I came back, I obviously came back with a tan. My genetics will do that. The next day, when I stepped outside to quickly water my plants, my dad told me to stay out of the sun and sit in the shade because he doesn't want me to get darker. I laughed at him. His genetics are the main reason I tan so quickly, and yet he has the audacity to act like that. My older sister also made comments about how my tan was fake and that I had to use something to get it that way. During the winter, when I lose a bit of melanin, my legs, arms, and face get lighter. My stomach retains my melanin, and my entire family knows about this because I've been teased by them about it, yet my older sister will accuse me of faking it. Bench, we are literally Oaxacan, stereotypically short, olive skin, thick black hair, high cheekbones, and non-European noses. My sister also gets salty that she has straight hair, while I and the rest of my siblings have wavy, textured hair. She even started using my shampoo and conditioner, which just makes her hair oily. Usually, whenever my family tells me they liked something about me and upset me, I'll end up doing the opposite to get to them. For example, my dad loves when I have long hair, so I'll grow it out, and when he decides to act up and upset me, it's time for my cute bob era. So for the rest of the summer, I've decided to go outside a bit more, enjoy myself and let my hair do whatever it wants, and embrace my features even more. Life is too short to stay in the sun and use skin bleaching creams like my cousin in Mexico. Personally, I've never understood the fascination with getting tans. Like purposely going out in the sun for the sole intention of just getting a tan. Even with tons of really good sunscreen, why take that UV exposure risk? I've just never in my life seen somebody get a tan and said to myself, you know, that's really improved things for them. Dark skin is beautiful, light skin is beautiful. I don't get the point of tanning. Our next story is allegedly making obnoxious neighbor crash his car. I originally posted this in the sub, Am I the Jerk?, which was taken down, it seems due to the destruction of property. One of the comments I received was from a member of ProRevenge saying to post it here. About a year ago, my neighbor got his son a new Mustang GT for his first car. Day one, he has been peeling out up and down our street day and night, turning our once quiet neighborhood into a drag strip. One day, he ran over our other neighbor's dog. She refused to call the cops, even though I got it on my security camera. I have 3 little kids, and for the past year, I've been terrified one of them would be next. This kid is such a jerk. When I tried speaking to him, he just told me off. The parents are even worse. For a week after talking to them, the father peeled out right in front of our house to make his point. I had to call the police to make him stop. After the HOA denied putting up speed bumps, one of the other moms suggested we put up signs all over and blast the kid on social media. I didn't agree to post our security camera footage and didn't think the signs would do any good. I almost sabotaged his car though, but then my neighbor found this child at play sign that looks like a real kid. We all bought one and thought it was funny how the other neighbors would slow down and even stop, causing mini traffic jams. Well, I decided to place my sign next to this bush that sits on the corner of our yard where the road bends, so it's facing the straightaway, so the kid will see it from down the street. Well, a couple of weeks ago, we all get woken to this huge crashing sound. We ran outside to see the Mustang wrapped around the power pole and the kid crawling out his window. I immediately called 911 and then ran over to check on the boy, only to be called a stupid bench as he's ranting and raving about his car. When the cops come and ask him if he's had anything to drink, he just snaps, "No, pig. I haven't, it's this stupid bench's fault." He starts yelling, stepping towards me. The cop stops him, and after a minute he calms down. So I thought. When the cop asks him how much he's had to drink, the kid looks at me, eyes all wide, and says, "It's her and her stupid sign. I thought that thing," pointing at the sign, "I thought that was one of her stupid kids about to run out into the road." In the middle of this rant, the ambulance showed up. They tried to check the kid out who refused treatment and proceeded to tell them off, seemingly more concerned about his car than himself. The cop asks the kid if he would perform a sobriety test, which he fails miserably, and then takes him to jail. So I guess we could still go at this am I the jerk style. Is it a jerk move to post this child at play sign that looks like an actual kid about to run into the road? In general, you probably would be, but considering that this has been an ongoing problem, I think having it out there for a short stretch of time, especially with all the neighbors adopting the practice, I don't really think you're the jerk as long as once you feel like you've proven your point, you take it back away. I mean, you should always be alert. You should always be ready for a kid to maybe run into a road when you're driving through a neighborhood or whatnot, but you're still probably better off not giving people those surprise heart attacks. Our next story is, hold the elevator please. I work on the 11th floor of an office building with 3 elevators. The other day, as I rounded into the elevator lobby at lunchtime, I saw one cab open its doors and a food delivery person step into it. I was a few steps behind, but not too far. The delivery guy and I made eye contact as I got closer, but he made no effort to hold the door or press the open door button and let me go on with him. The doors closed just before I got within arm's reach, and I had to wait. It wasn't a long wait. The next elevator opened its door around 20 to 30 seconds later. No one else got on. I punched the 11 button and rode alone up to my floor. A few seconds after I walked off the elevator and started down the hall to my office entrance, I heard a chime behind me. The first elevator door opened, and out of the corner of my eye, I saw the same food delivery guy walking out. His elevator must have made a stop or two along the way. I'm now a few steps ahead of him. We're the only office on our floor, so he must be delivering to one of my coworkers. Our office uses key fobs for security. I scanned mine to unlock the door and stepped into the office lobby, then made sure to look back and make eye contact with him as the door closed and locked behind me. My favorite part of the story is that it's a glass office door, so he must have seen me stroll through the lobby and start down the hallway as he stood there. I smiled widely when I heard the office doorbell ring, even more when it rang the second time a short while later. Can we all agree that it says a lot about a person if they're not willing to hold the elevator door when somebody's clearly on their way? Unless you're in a situation where you might be afraid of this person coming into the elevator with you. I mean, I definitely understand if a woman would feel uncomfortable about some stranger coming into the elevator in some situation. But in general, if you don't hold the elevator door open for people, that's just such a rude thing. Our next story is Faith in Humanity Restored. How to get back at neighbor who starved his dog to death. My neighbor is a piece of crap who left his house dilapidated and abandoned after Hurricane Ida and a tornado that hit a year later. He was living in a shed with no electricity with his 7-year-old Great Dane since October 2022. He was always gone, leaving the dog in the shed or tied to a pole in the yard with no food or water. I was giving the dog fresh water when I could. Well, he went to jail in May for about a month. Since he got out of jail, he's been checking on the dog less and less. The dog is dehydrated, starving, emaciated, lonely, and living in squalor. I of course called the SPCA, who said they won't take the dog as long as it's not locked in the shed or tied to a pole. Well, he found the dog dead in the dilapidated house yesterday, drug his body out like a trash bag and put dirt over him in the backyard. It's a much longer story of many people trying to take the dog and trying to get weight on him, but clearly the dog couldn't take the heat, lack of water, loneliness, and lack of food. What can I do to make his life heck after watching him do this to an animal? He doesn't have a phone. I don't know where he goes all day. He has a car with no plates, expired tags, revoked license, but never seems to get pulled over. I think he should go to jail for animal abuse. To be honest, I think where OP fell short here is if they saw this going on and they tried to report it to SPCA and they refused to do anything, OP honestly should have started documenting what they could. Videos of you bringing the dog water in a clearly bad situation. I mean, and God forbid when it got to the point it did, especially trying to document that and reporting them to the cops. You can try it now, but they're probably not going to do anything with concrete proof that they did anything to harm this animal. Although, depending on where you live, what he did with the body might not exactly be legal. I would double check on that. Our next story is Inconveniencing an Entitled Girl. So, a couple days ago, I was getting my nails done at a local salon. The girls there are amazing and it's just 3 of them, so they time manage as it goes. Most people just walk in, but most people know if you do that, you'll have to wait. They'll usually say, come back in X amount of time, and we'll be ready for you. I had an appointment and still ended up waiting a little. No big deal, they were slammed. In that time, 3 people came in and their names were written down as next in line, as well as 2 girls already waiting next to me, 5 people after me. I finally sit down to get my nails done, and it's a simple manicure with no polish. One girl was doing pedicures on a couple, and the other had just started a full set. As soon as I sit down, this teenage girl comes in with her parents and seats herself at a table without saying anything. Her parents then walk up to the lady who was doing my nails and say, I quote, "Her flight leaves in 5 hours and we have to leave in 1 to make it on time. Her nail just broke. Fix it." Rude. So rude. Not to mention there are 5 people ahead of her. The nail lady tries to explain that, but the parent just talks over her, and the techs have a conversation about it in their language, and then the girl doing my nails nods and says, "Okay, when I'm done with her, I will fix it." Cool. I proceeded to ask for a dip manicure with nail art and the deluxe spa package. The hour was up, and the girl and the parents were positively fuming. They ended up leaving, her nails still broken. My nails looked great, and I tipped extra. Yeah, considering the way these people came in here and demanded these things, and the fact that really it was only 1 nail that had broke that needed fixing, they probably didn't care too much about losing their business. In fact, if I was one of the workers there that witnessed this, I would proceed to give OP probably the best nail and spa treatment possible. Our next story is, homeowner refused to pay for his new wood floor. Earlier in my profession as a wood floor installer, I had a nice side job set up with a homeowner. He was building a new home and had some wood flooring that he needed installed. I checked out the place and gave him a quote for his new 2-story home. He accepted my bid and I told him 3 days it would take for install. I set the day and time and we both agree. I get there with my crew and the wood is sitting in the garage. We begin work and everything is going well the first day. At the end of the day, we clean up and bring all the scraps and boxes outside to the garbage pile out back. Second day, the same. No issues, and we clean up and throw out all the waste. Third day, I call the owner and tell him everything is going as planned and will be done by the end of the day and we expect payment then. Third day comes and we get going and the whole crew is in a nice groove. I run out and get lunch for everyone so we finish on a high note. Come 4 p.m., we're done and everything looks great. I send the crew home and wait for the homeowner at 5 p.m. Come 5:45 p.m., no one shows up. I call and get no answer. Long story short, he never shows. I call and call, no answer. Days go by, nothing. We're talking 8,000 back in the 90s. I end up having to put a lien on the home to get the homeowner to respond. Fast forward, the homeowner ends up paying us our money, but for spite, he held $300 for what he called disposal of our garbage we left in his garbage pile out back. I told him those were his boxes of wood that we cleaned up and put it in his garbage pile. He wanted a small victory, so I let him think he got it. After he left, I was still in the house, so I made my way upstairs to the hall bathroom. I went inside the sink cabinet and loosened some of the fittings so there would be a nice slow leak of water over the weekend. Listen, I totally understand OP being completely upset in this situation, but it still feels kind of uncalled for to go upstairs to the hall bathroom and let that water leak out. I mean, if this jerk didn't notice it, God forbid what it might devolve into. But I get it, $300 is a lot more in the 90s than it is today. In fact, if you go from $1995, it's actually 2 times. So if you go back to 1995, $300 now would be $600 back then. This next story is, violate my no soliciting sign? Have been having a rash of company reps for roofing, solar, security, etc. ringing my doorbell. When I answer and see what they're bothering me for, I ask if they saw my prominently displayed yard sign. They typically come back with, well, we're not actually soliciting, we're providing information. I recently spent the $50 to get a smart control for my front yard spigot and have been leaving my yard sprinklers attached. Now when they ring the bell, I have the app opened and primed and my finger on the go button before I open the door. The joy of watching them run when the water starts is almost worth my dogs barking like crazy and being interrupted. I also started parking the car closest to my porch, right on the edge of the drive/entry sidewalk, so there's no quick and easy escape path. One of the things I do love about living in 2023 is most people are installing smart doorbells. So at least when somebody comes and knocks on the door, you don't have to open it and give them that feeling that they can engage you even harder because you're physically there. I'm glad that it's normal to be able to just have that conversation with people trying to solicit things from your doorbell. Also, I'll go as far as to say anybody that solicits you by door, you probably don't want to do business with them. If you need a service done, do your research and try to find a credible company around you. Don't rely on Tree Service R Us that comes around and says, hey, we were doing work on your neighbor's house down the street and we saw you could use some work. They're always doing work on somebody else's house down the street, trust us. Our next story is, ruined a whole bunch of pictures and probably a main character's day by being petty. So backstory, I live in a touristic city. The only way into the city is via small bridges. They are gorgeous, but getting in and out of the city can be annoying, as they often open for boats, and then you either have to wait 10 to 15 minutes or drive to the other side of the city to enter from there. There are earlier bridges, but due to one-way roads that would take even longer in most cases, I've learned to be quite patient since living here. Today when I drove home, I tried turning onto one of the bridges, as I had a green light and saw a boat coming. I had noticed a tourist with a camera on the sidewalk before I turned onto it, but didn't think much of it. This particular bridge has sidewalks on both sides, and then, without warning, as I was turning in, she suddenly sprinted onto the road. What the freak? I had to slam my emergency brakes, and this woman was lucky I don't drive like a maniac and was very aware of my surroundings because I would have hit her if I didn't react as quickly as I did. Like, she seriously saw me turning onto the bridge and sprinted in front of my car so she could get a good picture while blocking the intersection. I was flabbergasted. Due to her position, I was still half on the intersection, blocking traffic, trying to pass through, so naturally I honked at her to get her the freak off the road. Wrong choice. This woman went crazy, screaming, waving her arms at me, knocking her head, pretending like I was the crazy one. I just couldn't help but start laughing. I mean, you walked onto an active intersection. I'm not the insane one here, lady. Luckily, after a minute or two of screaming, she let me pass, and as soon as I passed, I saw in my rearview mirror she was blocking the next car doing the exact same thing, standing in the middle of the intersection to take a picture. So I did the only thing I could do according to my brain in that moment. I stopped my car right on the middle of the bridge and waited until she would either move out of the way or the bridge opened, meaning I was actively blocking any opportunity of a nice picture. She didn't move, she just screamed from a distance till I heard the signal that the bridge would open, meaning she wouldn't be able to take her picture for at least 20 minutes, open time and time to have all the traffic pass, and I drove home with a stupid, petty grin on my face. Worth it. So yeah, screw you, lady. Just because you have a $500 camera doesn't mean the world revolves around you and your stupid pictures. This is one of those situations that I wish I had one of those like truck horns installed in my car, where if somebody like this was ignorant and standing in the road, you could just blare that "Purr" and just destroy their ears. This next story is many years ago, 1994 to be exact. While away serving on a ship, RN, my wife began having an affair with a work colleague. She worked for the ambulance service. Eventually, when I found out, we separated and later divorced. Despite it being her fault, she got the house, car, etc., and I got my clothes. Fast forward a few months and I was stumbling back from the pub and realized that the shortest route took me past my former home. The car was an older Vauxhall Cavalier, to which I had a spare key, and it was fitted with a tape player. The tape player was wired up so that it would work even with the ignition off and had auto reverse. Every night from then on, I would open the car, insert a tape, and turn on the cassette player at a very low volume. It would play all night and leave a flat battery. Eventually, one of our mutual friends told me they got rid of the old, unreliable car, which had flattened numerous batteries, while they never worked out the cause. Now, that is an astounding level of petty, but I can only imagine in a situation where you feel like you had your world ripped from you, your partner who you thought was going to be your one and only cheated on you and took. Honestly, if somebody's bent on getting revenge, I guess they should just be glad that flattening their battery was all that they did. This next story is, ex refused to repay some money, so I got her hopes up. This was a long time ago. I dated this girl about 9-ish years ago. She asked to borrow some money, so I obliged with the promise that she'd repay me. We broke up like a week later when she cheated and I never received my money back no matter how many times I tried. I should also mention she was very head in the clouds and very positively hopeful for the perfect romance. Fast forward 4 years, she found out I was single and wanted to be friends with benefits. I was like, what the heck at first, so we started that. She also said that this was just friends with benefits and not a relationship and for me not to catch feelings. I agreed. Soon, she started getting attached romantically and wanted to be with me in a more committed relationship. I told her I did too, which was a lie. Kept up that charade until finally I couldn't take it anymore. I told her I needed a break to figure stuff out, which she was okay with as I'd just gotten out of a relationship. Boom, ghosted her. A few months later, she confronted me on Facebook Messenger about how much of a jerk I was for getting her hopes up. I told her, well, you stole money from me, so consider us even. She still didn't understand why her actions made me act the way I did. Blocked. See, I really thought OP was gonna work this up to finally getting her to pay back and then dumping that relationship in the river. But hey, she should be happy in this situation. She didn't even have to pay the money back. Our next story is, write me a passive-aggressive note for legally parking my car on the street? Okay. So I, 21-year-old female, live in a cul-de-sac in a big city with my mom, 53-year-old female, sister, 16-year-old female, aunt, 60-year-old female, and uncle, 57-year-old male, who, based on the commas, we all have a car we drive, which totals to 4 cars. My mom drives a slightly nicer car, so she parks that in our garage at the end of the driveway, which is wide at the bottom but gets more narrow at the top. At most, it can fit 4 cars while blocking the garage. So while I wasn't driving this weekend, I parked my car on the street so she could get her car out of the garage. For those who don't know what a cul-de-sac is, it's basically a neighborhood that looks like a giant oval, where the houses are on one side and the street is the other, with the weird middle section being a plot of grass. My car was as close to the grass as possible without being on the grass, and it wasn't blocking anyone's driveway enough to where you can't back and pull into a driveway. Apparently my neighbor, 49-year-old female, who has 2 daughters, 16-year-old female, who my family has a lot of beef with, seriously, it could be a soap opera with all the BS that happens on this block, didn't like my car being there, even though it wasn't the only car there, because she wrote a note that lovingly said, "Use your god dang driveway." It wasn't on my car well enough for me, the owner of the car who was meant to receive the message, to see it, because it landed on my garbage can, and my mom found it. Needless to say, she's not happy, and we are fuming. I was driving at the time. My mom sent my family chat, which has my father, 53-year-old male, in it, the image of the note, and we've all decided to park our cars in the street in retaliation. We have decided to unleash heck, and I pray and hope to God that this bench, the mother, finally learns her lesson. She has done so much crap to my family in the past, and all heck is going to break loose. She is seriously the definition of a deplorable human being. When my mom asked one of the kids about it, she said the handwriting was her sister's. While it was a kid who did it, the fact that her mother enabled this kind of behavior for legal parking is disgusting. I definitely think in this situation, I would either do one of two things. I would either totally wimp out for some reason and try to comply with it, or I would go full-on petty like OP does and park there every time it makes sense. Or maybe leave a nice note in return to them saying you parked legally. If they have a real problem, they can contact the non-emergency line. But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. Now, if you want to hear another awesome revenge story, check out that video on the left. Or if you missed my latest video, check out that video on the right. That said, I'll see you all next time with some more stories.